nobody saw it coming. Not Hollywood, not Nashville, and definitely not the fans who believed Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban were one of the rare celebrity couples built to last. But on September 30th, 2025, Nicole Kidman filed divorce papers that detonated a 19-year marriage worth more than $325 million. And buried inside those documents is a clause so shocking that family lawyers are calling it one of the most one-sided celebrity custody agreements ever written. This divorce isn't just a split. It's an exposé of a marriage built on silence, control, and the one thing Nicole Kidman never truly trusted: Keith Urban's decision-making. When the filings hit Davidson County Court in Nashville, the story looked simple. Nicole ended the marriage. But the timeline buried in the paperwork tells a much different story. Keith Urban signed the parenting plan on August 29th. Nicole signed it on September 6th. Both documents were fully notarized, legally binding, and complete. And yet Nicole did not file for divorce until September 30th. For more than 3 weeks, the couple posed for photos, gave interviews, walked red carpets, toured, filmed, smiled, and acted like nothing was wrong, while their fully signed divorce papers sat quietly in a drawer. You don't hold signed divorce documents for a month unless something major happens behind the scenes. Something that forced Nicole to stop pretending, stop delaying, and finally pull the trigger. But the real shock came when the custody documents were made public. Nicole Kidman gets the children for 306 days per year. Keith Urban gets 59. That's 16% custody for a father who has been sober for nearly 2 decades, who rebuilt his life, who publicly credited his wife for saving him. It's every other weekend, Saturday morning to Sunday evening. No weekday routines, no school nights, no equal parenting. Even the holidays are written in a way that leaves little doubt about who the primary parent is. Nicole gets every Mother's Day. She gets every Easter. She gets Christmas in odd-numbered years. Keith gets Father's Day and Christmas in even years, but only until Boxing Day, when the girls must return to Nicole. Most people stopped reading there, but lawyers didn't. Because deep inside the parenting agreement is a line that changes everything about this divorce. It says that all major decisions, education, healthcare, religion, extracurriculars, are to be discussed jointly. But if Nicole and Keith cannot agree, Nicole Kidman shall have final decision-making authority. Final authority. Nicole doesn't just get the majority of the time, she gets the final word on everything that matters. Keith can suggest, argue, plead, and try, but if Nicole says no, the answer is no. Courts rarely hand this level of power to one parent unless there is a serious underlying concern. And in this marriage, that concern traces back to 2006. 4 months after their wedding, Nicole staged an intervention and sent Keith to rehab. He stayed for 3 months. He rebuilt his life, stayed sober, and credited Nicole publicly with saving him. But these documents, written nearly 2 decades later, reveal that as much as Nicole loved him, she never fully trusted him again. And that distrust is written into the legal foundation of their post-marriage life. Then comes the rumor haunting the internet, the so-called cocaine clause. Some outlets, none fully verified, have whispered that their prenup included a sobriety clause worth around $17 million if Keith stayed clean throughout the marriage. There is no confirmation. It is not in the public documents. No lawyer has verified it. But the rumor refuses to die because it fits the emotional logic of their relationship. Nicole fought to protect him and to protect herself. And if this clause were real, it would mean Keith lived for 19 years under a contract where relapse meant forfeiting millions. But the darker truth is this: even if Keith stayed sober for 19 years, even if he earned the payout, Nicole still structured their divorce in a way that gave him minimal custody and no final say. If the rumor is true, the emotional implication is devastating. Financially, the divorce is almost surgical in its precision. No alimony, no spousal support. Each keeps their own income, their own assets, their own creative works. The properties are held through trusts and LLCs, shielded from legal battles. Even the airline miles and hotel points are allocated and separated. But one line stands out like a flashing warning light. Keith Urban has already prepaid all child support obligations owed to Nicole Kidman. Child support usually runs monthly until the children turn 18, but Keith paid all of it at once, in a lump sum. This is not normal. This is not typical. This is the strategy of two people who wanted a complete financial severance with no monthly checks, no renegotiations, no obligations tying them together. Another line explains why neither Keith nor Nicole has commented on the split. The documents forbid them from speaking negatively about each other or each other's families. Break this clause, and custody can be modified. That is why Keith is silent. That is why Nicole is silent. Their silence isn't mutual respect. It's contractual survival. Then there's the official separation date. The documents list September 30th, the filing date, as the date of separation. But insiders say the couple had already been living separate lives as early as June or July. Why put September on the paperwork? Because, financially, it simplifies everything. A later separation date reduces complicated calculations, protects earnings, and makes the division cleaner. Publicly, they acted married. Privately, they weren't. But the biggest unanswered question is this: why did Nicole finally file on September 30th after sitting on signed divorce papers for nearly a month? Sources say Keith was going through some stuff. Others say Nicole felt hurt and betrayed. But none of those explanations fit the timeline. If Nicole were trying to save her marriage, she wouldn't have signed the documents in early September. The more you look at the timeline, the clearer it becomes. The marriage was already over. The only question was when Nicole would choose to make it public. And something that happened in late September convinced her it was time. When you strip away the glamour, the public smiles, and the carefully controlled media statements, the truth revealed in the paperwork is painfully human. Nicole Kidman once saved her husband from addiction, but she never stopped being the one who had to save him. She never stopped carrying the weight of responsibility. And after 19 years, she no longer wanted that role. She left him with financial freedom. She treated him respectfully on paper. But she did not give him equal fatherhood. She did not give him final authority. She did not give him the power to meet her halfway. Because deep down, Nicole Kidman never fully trusted Keith Urban to make the right decisions for their daughters. Not 19 years ago. Not now. Not ever. And that's the story written between the lines of the divorce papers. Now the question becomes, was she right to demand final decision-making authority? Or did she go too far? And what do you think about the rumored sobriety clause? Let me know your thoughts.